but it wasn't rushed.
Why make 2 trips?
Lens Crafters, now in Southdale Mall, lower level near Donaldson's.
The March of Dimes Mother's March is a tradition of giving. Volunteer today for the March of Dimes Mother's March on birth defects.
Wheel of Fortune, tonight. The St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade is brought to you in part by the many fine products of General Mills, by True Value Hardware, more than just a name, it's our way of doing business, and by Captain Ken's Firehouse Beans and Firehouse Chili in the freezer section of your favorite grocery.
Ted Steichen, Boreas Rex 51st, and welcome to the St. Paul Winter Carnival.
Hi, I'm Sandra Swenson, 1987 Queen of the Snows. Hope you enjoy the Grand Day Parade. And here are our hosts, Bill Carlson and Colleen Needles.
And indeed it is.
Yes.
It's a winter carnival parade.
No
this
doubt
time.
about it, Bill. It definitely is. I think the latest we've heard, it is 1 above
yes.
0, and they say there is no wind chill, but I don't believe them. Not for a minute. It feels a lot colder than that.
The wind, there isn't a great deal of wind. Now, there may be a little bit, but not a great deal. We're headed for a high, folks, listen to this, of 3 degrees above 0 for this afternoon.
2 more degrees to go.
Winds will remain out of the north-northeasterly direction at about 5 to 10 miles per hour today. We've organized this whole affair just as a welcome back to Colleen Needles.
And I couldn't miss it for the world. I mean, this is the reason I came back, definitely. No, this is wonderful. You wouldn't see this anyplace else in the world.
We've talked to so many folks, some native of the Twin City area, some just visiting, like Charlie Daniels a few moments ago, just out here fit and raring to go.
Oh, that's terrific, and there are a lot of people gathering for the parade. It's going to be a great one from what we hear.
Our location will be right in front of the St. Paul Public Library, right on Rice Square, and the shots you have been seeing in the last few moments have been folks participating in various other of the continuing events of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. Ice skating, there's all kinds of ice sculpture out in front of us and all sorts of things. So it's quite an event, and we'll be here to bring you all of it. And we'll be back with some special features in just a moment. Don't go away.
I'm a fool for your chocolate.
I go wild, I get crazy, go out of control. If you're talking chocolate, you sweet talker, Betty Crocker. Your brownies give me fever, your cake gives me chills. You sweet talker, Betty Crocker.
There's one raisin cereal that stays crispier in milk than any other.
There's never been a crisp like this. It's crispy. Wheats and raisins.
Honey-touched flakes that stay crisp and delicious from the first bite to the last.
There's never been a crisp like this. It's crispy. Wheats and raisins. True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
Clear away outlet clutter with an 8-receptacle power strip from Master Electrician. It has a circuit breaker, lighted switch, and a handy 6-foot cord. In January, the Master Electrician 8-outlet strip is only $6.99. Look for the Hardware Value of the Month banner at most True Value hardware stores.
Bill Carlson and Colleen Needles with you for the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. We are in Rice Park. You just saw the Ordway. To show you what really confirmed winter folks these people are, we just had someone come by and give both of us a little ice cream.
Some ice cream.
Just to top things off.
I don't think we need to worry about it melting, though, before we get to it. Well, one of the masterpieces of the St. Paul Winter Carnival this year has been the Japanese Sapporo snow sculptures. And we recommend, if you haven't been able to see it, that you get down to Harriet Island to see it. Now, there is quite a story behind those masterpieces, and let's take a look as we watch the story unfold. Last year's Winter Carnival spectacle was the magnificent Ice Palace. However, as many may recall, Mother Nature hindered the project during its construction. This year, a similar scenario unfolded, and once again, Mother Nature was the culprit.
It's amazing. Here we are in Minnesota and we have to make our own snow.
On January 10th, 9 master snow artisans from Sapporo, Japan arrived in the Twin Cities. They were surprised by the unseasonably warm temperatures and unusually brown scenery. What happened to winter? And where was the snow? These sculptors were in need of 600 tons of snow in order to create the classical Japanese theater sculptures for the St. Paul Winter Carnival's Winter National Celebration. The task was to be completed by January 21st, but there was no indication that winter would soon be here. Fortunately, the generosity of a local ski resort and efforts by several volunteers helped to prove the old adage, where there's a will, there's a way. The group made and hauled 600 tons of snow, while others worked to build the frame and pack the man-made snow into blocks.
The man-made snow is harder because it has a lot of moisture content in it, and during the night it does freeze. So therefore, it's easier probably to work with natural snow than man-made snow.
Once the snow was firmly packed and the scaffolding in place, the Japanese artists took over. Their experienced hands worked diligently, packing, chiseling, chipping, and grooming. For 8 solid days they worked. On January 20th, the task neared completion. The crew seemed happy with the results.
The relationship that has been made possible through the snow sculpture with the people of St. Paul, Minnesota, and Japan is really a great achievement.
And during the opening ceremonies of the 101st Winter Carnival celebration, Japan's gift to the city of St. Paul was magnificently received. And if they were happy with the results, we are certainly delighted. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, you can see the snow sculptures through February 1st. So please get down to Harriet Island and take a look at it, Bill. It's magnificent.
You know, Colleen, as you look around, there's a lot of creativity out here today. Ways people have found to keep warm. See all kinds of masks, all kinds of things. That's among the people watching along the sides. Now, it leads you to wonder how the participants in the parade prepare themselves for this cold weather. The band members, for instance. I understand the Brady High School Marching Band took home 6 awards for excellence at last year's Winter Carnival. So let's take a look at how these students prepare for this cold weather performance.
Jump-starting frozen musicians during the Winter Carnival Parade isn't as ridiculous as it seems. At least not according to Brady High School Band Director Dave Hale.
In the first year or two, was really hard for them to understand why are we going out when it's 15 degrees and doing this.
1, 2, ready, go.
But with several awards and years of practice now under their belts, Dave Hale and his Brady High School Marching Band have learned to successfully prepare for cold weather marches.
I won't go out there and just freeze to death. So we don't want kids to wreck their instruments and parents to have to pay for that. We don't want to put people in that kind of a situation. But what we think is real important is that we meet our obligations the best we can.
The band begins regular outdoor practices the 1st of January, so that by Winter Carnival time, its members have, each in their own fashion, prepared for the cold weather march.
I play the flute, and when it gets really cold out, you know, the whole metal part just gets really cold, and you can feel it on your lips. And what I do to, you know, for it won't stick to my lips is put chapstick on.
In past years, the spit that goes through it will freeze them up so that they can't move. Then you won't be able to play. So this year we're going to put windshield wiper fluid on them to keep them so that they won't freeze up.
Well, these are the gloves for our marching uniforms, and we have to cut the holes in them so my fingers are open. So, see, the holes are right here, and we have to cover that up with your finger in order for the instrument to play.
You have to put sweat stuff on as much as you can get, and by the time you get all that on, you can barely move, but, you know, it's enough to get going.
I think I'd say probably 95% of it is mental preparation. Going out and practicing in the cold, getting used to what you're going to be facing.
We've had some really cold winter carnivals. This is my 7th year as a teacher, and I can remember some where we just died to get in. I'm sort of a gutsy guy. If somebody's going to be there, we'll be there.
Oh, boy.
are going to be here. He said 7 years. Well, I think this is probably the coldest one he's had to face. Incidentally, this morning, the Brady High School band took part in the Winter Carnival competition, and as last year's first place winner, I'm sure they're looking forward to finding out the results of today, which will be released a little bit later on this afternoon, and if we get them in time, we'll report them to you. But in any case, they will be released later today.
Terrific, and we've received word the parade is just underway. It's about at our location. We'll be back in just a moment to bring it to you.
Hi, may I help you?
Sure, I'll have a cheeseburger, Mac.
Cheeseburger macaroni? That's our specialty.
Don't know what to do with hamburger? Try Hamburger Helper Cheeseburger Macaroni. It'll turn plain hamburger into a hearty, delicious meal that'll please your coolest customer.
Hamburger helper helped her.
Hey, that was great, man. Give me 5.
Would you settle for 4?
Make a great meal.
Hey, Tony, you getting in shape for a hot day?
Nah, dinner with my mother's.
Everybody's got a diet right. It doesn't matter who you are. It's gonna be a tough fight. So give yourself the greatest taste.
No, please. So you see, Ma, now I'm drinking diet right. It's all free.
All for you, Uncle Tony.
Everybody's got a diet right.
If you're like most people, you probably think you're getting enough fiber in your diet. You know what? You're probably not. In fact, the National Cancer Institute says we're probably getting only half the fiber we need. So I'm getting the half I'm missing with this Fiber One cereal. Shredded wheat can't give you half. Even All Bran doesn't have as much fiber as Fiber One. One bowl, once a day.
For the half you're missing.
Right. Fiber One. For the half you're missing.
Bill Carlson along with Colleen Needles at the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. We are at Rice Park in front of the St. Paul Public Library, and the parade has just now gotten to our location. The St. Paul Police escort in their little motor scooters leading the way. But right behind them is a, you saw that shot a moment ago, the vehicle from quite a different era. That's the one to which I referred, Colleen.
The St. Paul Police Black Mariah. That's an 1896 paddy wagon, the Black Mariah, and it is pulled by 2 draft horses. You can see the steam coming out of their noses, too. They're probably just as cold as the rest of us are.
Look at that coat they have, though. They do seem to be prepared. Once again, it's 1 degree above zero and zoomed up from, I guess, about 10 below overnight. We probably will hit about 3 above today, so indeed it is a St. Paul Winter Carnival.
You can see the participants on the Black Mariah wearing 1800 vintage police uniforms. That's a restored St. Paul police wagon. Here appeared also in the 1986 Grand Day Parade for the first time.
And here's the contingent from the Minnesota Highway Patrol. They are with us traditionally. Look very comfortable in shirt sleeves inside the car.
I have a feeling they have their heater turned on full blast for this one.
I suspect that may be the case. Well, you probably wouldn't feel quite so warm if you hadn't consumed that ice cream just before you
You had to tell on me, didn't you?
101st St. Paul Winter Carnival it is. Actually, that's not true. It is the 101st anniversary year. There were some years in between there when we didn't have winter carnivals.
Okay, this is the Senior Color Guard, American Legion Post number 39, marching by us. Here they are in screen here. And they all look like they're staying fairly warm. They are the participants of the past 10 Winter Carnival parades, so they are experts at this.
Chris Reimers is the captain. Listen to that. They've been through quite a bit of the parade route already, and that cadence count is just as sharp and loud as it was all along the way. Right behind them is a special group that we have heard a rather considerable amount about. This is from the 4th District American Legion. Massed colors, a combination of volunteer color bearers from American Legion posts in the 4th and the 5th districts. Members from this area held a competition to see who could turn out the most American flags for the parade. And the 4th District American Legion Mass Color Guard has led the Grand Day Parade for over 20 years, so they've been here before.
Isn't that beautiful to see all those flags? That's quite a sight.
It is indeed. Now, following those flags, our group, and once again it's happening as they step along. It says POW, MIA flags on one of those flags, and the people, as that flag passes by, people along the side stand up. Okay, we're going to, as we proceed through the parade today, this unit is stopped at the moment. We're going to introduce you to the candidates for Queen of the Snows. Here are the first group.
Hi, I'm Kathy Casey, and I'm sponsored by Gene Thorne Temporary Services.
My name is Valerie Meyer, and I am sponsored by Apple Valley Ready Mix.
Hi, I'm Brenda Peterson, and I'm sponsored by Empty Pockets and Company.
My name is Patty Caulfield, and I'm sponsored by the St. Paul Hotel.
Hello, I'm Mary Parman, and I'm sponsored by Rice Street Festival.
And we are now back.
And we see another color guard coming by, and I'm trying to decide which one this is. We've got several who've been coming up on.
Yes, there are a group of color guards, and sometimes it's a little difficult for us to make out which it is in front of us right now. So we hope you will forgive us that uncertainty from time to time. We do know who these folks are. They are the people we just saw the feature about a few moments ago from Sapporo, Japan.
Oh, isn't that something?
The snow sculpting team. You know, just a few years ago, we had an ice sculpting team from that same city, and they, of course, have a surrounding much like ours, or a climate much like ours.
And now coming into frame, here's a gal that is very familiar to everyone from Minnesota, Anne Bancroft, the first woman to reach the North Pole by dog sled. And I don't think she's having any trouble with this weather today.
And nor are those dogs. They seem ready to go. That's the Northwest Airlines float, incidentally, and Anne Bancroft is the Grand Marshal of the parade.
And the flags from the team members' countries are on the rear of that float, and they include Canada, Alaska, and New Zealand, and the United States flag is placed at the front of the float, as you can see.
Oh, those dogs love to move, and they just are ready to and raring to go all the time. They often visit the schools and everything with Anne, and they're welcome members. The Marching Chiefs from La Crosse, Wisconsin, the first band along our parade route today. 225-member marching band, more than 100 Wisconsin communities represented. Let's listen to it. How about that for a note of ecumenism for the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse to be playing the Minnesota Rouser? That's kind of nice, isn't it?
Well, you know, they're no strangers to the Twin Cities residents. This past fall, they gave their 26th performance at a Minnesota Vikings game, and the band and its associated jazz band have also performed at 38 National Football League games, so they certainly do get around.
You notice the cheerleaders there yelling at the top of their lungs. That apparently is a heat-creating technique.
And they also keep moving. I understand this year this is their first appearance this year, and they're making it here in the St. Paul Winter Carnival.
They've been storing up energy, you can tell.
Well, they're going to need it, that's for sure, along the way.
Following them is Tom Conlon, the chairman of the board of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. Having lived in St. Paul for 30 years, he's been sitting on the board of directors of the Winter Carnival for a couple of years, and he has been elected the chairman of the board. That's the way it goes, you know, when you show that you are willing to give the time, then they ask you to give a little more, and that's how festivals like this take place, of course. With the very generous offerings of people like Tom, and following him, John Kemp, who is the president of the festival this year. Lots of noise coming up. That noise being made by, I believe, these are Titans, Prince of the North Wind, approaching. These are former Titans, incidentally.
The Titans, as with other wind organizations, are involved in many social and civic functions throughout the year, and as you said, this float is carrying the former North Winds.
Noisy group, aren't they?
They sure are. Right behind the North Winds. I don't think we can quite see them just yet. Oh, there they are. The old South Winds. In a 1939 hose cart. Oh, they look like they're having a good time, don't they?
Yes.
They're the keepers of the balmy south wind. I don't think they've been keeping it very well, if you ask me.
Well, I tell you what, you couldn't miss them. These have to be the west winds,
yes.
and indeed they are. And they're living up to their title, not only with their 6 guns, but also with their Stetsons. 10-gallon hats.
You know, I think the secret to keeping warm at this thing is to be in the parade. Next
Yes.
year, maybe we ought to do that.
Perhaps so, yes. Next up, we have the former East Winds. Let's see, we've just about gone all the way around the compass
Right.
now, haven't we?
And the East Winds organization is active in the Pain Arcade Harvest Days Festival that is held in September, and their float certainly indicates that. The big pumpkin on the rear.
There are a couple of East Winds, you know, carnivals and aquatennials and other things of that sort had a tough time for a few years when convertibles weren't being made. So you see a lot of classic convertibles that were really put together and restored and kept in good condition if for no other reason than to be used in parades. Here's the Order of the Royal Guard. These are Royal Guards from previous years.
It's the uniform group of the St. Paul Winter Carnival with a membership of approximately 100.
Incidentally, this is the first year, I believe, and I'm quite certain this is true. Yes, it is. In my information, I discover this is the first year that we have a woman in the Royal Guard.
Ah, I didn't know that.
And of
Terrific.
course, that's in the current Royal Guard, so we'll be seeing them in a few moments.
All right.
Got a bit of a breeze came up,
Yes.
and that one above temperature has a little bite to it when you get a little breeze going along with it.
Oh, here we have the American National Bank float, the 1987 Winds and Princesses. It's a 25-foot-long float which is built along the theme, It's a Small World, which ties in well with the international flavor
It
of this
does.
year's
It's a
Winter
small
Carnival.
world. The most popular display, I think, ever at Disneyland, which kind of got it started, but it's a theme which, of course, is well known around the world.
And that float kind of duplicated the small world at
Right,
Disney.
that's right. From St. Thomas Academy, their color guard, commanded by Cadet Major Ted Russell.
And they've won all sorts of awards
They
over
sure
the
have,
years.
yes.
I think they won the best marching drill unit for St. Paul JC's 1971, and they've been winning awards ever since then.
You heard Hail Boreas. That's the
yes.
current Royal Guard, and of course there's Ted Steichen and Sandra Swenson aboard. They are the brand new, newly crowned King and Queen of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. They introduced our program today. Let's see, Ted is from Steichen Sporting Goods, and Sandra Swenson is from All Right Parking of Minnesota. The Royal Houses of is the way they put it.
Okay. Their float really fitting in well with the Winter Carnival theme.
Following them, the people they just replaced. The Jerry Crary and Queen of the Snows, Susan Ivansey from 1986. And then, following them, several past kings and queens of the St. Paul Winter Carnival, occasionally with their prime ministers as well.
I think we're going to be visited here by quite a number of past kings and queens.
Yes, that does seem to be the case.
Have you noticed that this year's parade is moving along a little faster than it has in years
They're stepping
past?
lively, aren't they?
I think so.
I think for good reason, yes. And of course, folks, they have been marching for quite some time as they come up to our location here in front of the St. Paul Public Library. So they've certainly had a big chance to experience the nip in the air. It's a little break in the parade, and we'll take a break in our coverage, but we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
taste of Cheerios. Not a lot of sugar to weigh down those Cheerios. Look how they float. No keeping them down, so he can't. Even he can't. You can't sink the unsinkable taste of Cheerios. Not a lot of sugar to weigh down those Cheerios. The unsinkable taste of Cheerios.
Everybody knows how to do that kick. Health kick. Yeah. Whoa! The goodness of milk is a real health kick. Health kick. Yeah, milk. You pour a glass of milk real tall, getting calcium and vitamins and loving it all. Looking good. Well, come on, everybody, milk's that kick. Health kick. Do that kick. Come on, everybody, do that kick. America's favorite health kick. Milk.
Professionals know how to take care of their cars, no matter how they have to use them. That's why professional quality master mechanic tools from True Value hardware stores work hard every year on cars at the Indianapolis 500, the International Race of Champions, and right in your own backyard. Because every professional knows that master mechanic quality can put one engine over and above the rest. Get the tools backed by an exclusive customer satisfaction policy from True Value hardware stores and home centers.
You wouldn't know, Colleen, would you, that these aren't the winners?
No, you wouldn't, and you wouldn't know that it was cold outside. Look at them. They're having a wonderful time. The Queen candidates.
Right, and
this year.
And of course, all of them were winners.
Certainly
even
are.
though Sandra Swenson is our Queen of the Snows for this year, they sure are having a great time.
Right behind them are the women's division.
Right.
15, 20 members of the St. Paul Winter Carnival's women's division in their official red and white uniforms. Coming right behind them is...
Aboard that old steamer is George Latimer. What? We kind of missed him, but there he is. There he is. I think he's kind of determined that that's going to be his vehicle. I expect to see him come up to a city council meeting in that one of these
someday. Well, that steamer is sponsored by the St. Paul Fire Department and the St. Paul Companies. And then right behind the mayor is Rudy Boschwitz.
Well, his car, at least, I suspect that the senator is out saying hi to somebody.
He must be.
That is the nature of Rudy Boschwitz, as you can. There he is, walking along.
There he is, following behind. You know, I can't help but think he just probably came from Washington, D.C., where they had a tremendous amount of snow a couple of days ago, and he comes here, and although it's cold, he doesn't see the snow he left in Washington.
There he is, shaking hands, the politician right down to the core. To the plywood core, I guess.
That's right, exactly. Well,
those of you who don't know that association, of course, he was a very, very successful businessman in Minnesota at Plywood, Minnesota, before he became U.S. Senator. He may not have frostbite, but he's going to have a sore hand by the end of the parade if he shakes hands with all of these folks.
Cold today.
A little cold. Yes, Senator, you're right about that.
Oh, he sure seems to enjoy things like this.
Here's some folks also used to this kind of weather, Colleen.
Oh, they sure are. They're from Winnipeg, where they are very used to cold, cold weather and lots of snow.
Thank you, folks. They just stepped up in front here and gave us 2 Canadian flags. They've kind of been sister cities to both the Winter Carnival and Aquatennial.
Now, they are here in celebration of our St. Paul Winter Carnival, but they also have their own celebration, a midwinter featuring singing, dancing, and nonstop entertainment from the 18th century.
The Festival de Voyageurs, that's those French voyageur outfits, costumes. They aren't really uniforms.
And then right behind them is the City of Winnipeg float. It's a 50-foot float, and its theme is Floral Fantasy, something you don't always get to see in the middle of January.
Would you call that cerise, Colleen? I guess that's what they call it.
That's cerise, I guess. Cerise and white. I'll take their word for it.
Okay, I wouldn't want to argue with them. That background, of course, that French-Canadian background, is not dissimilar from the background of St. Paul, which, you know, from Pig's Eye Island and down the the Mississippi River. There were a lot of French folks involved with this area.
This is from these folks are from La Société Canadienne Françoise, past and present officers and board members.
And this is Celebrity Grand Marshal Charlie Daniels. He's in town. He's going to be performing tonight. And we talked to him just a few moments ago.
Tell me your... I wore everything I got, Bill. We play, well, all over the place. I got my mukluks in Alaska, my coat in Canada, you know, and so I pick up cold weather gear because we do go into cold country. So I'm ready for it. Feels great.
And he is having a great time. Here's the St. Paul Yacht Club float. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It sure is. My goodness, it looks like it was transplanted right from the Mississippi onto Rice Street here.
It is built by St. Paul Yacht Club members. It took 1,000 hours to complete. It carries a crew of 6, and it has to come apart. It's a little hinged because sometimes it's a little difficult to get under power lines and around corners and so forth, so they have the proper number of hinges and angles and things to make it accessible.
Here's a little bit of trivia. It is built on a 1959 Ramsey County bookmobile. Would you ever have believed that? Well, as the parade continues, our coverage will continue in just a moment after these messages. Please stay tuned.
If you want calcium in a cereal, Just Right is the wrong place to look. There's hardly a grain of calcium in Nutri-Grain or a shred in shredded wheat.
I can't find any. Can you find any?
In fact, there's no calcium in most major brands, except Whole Wheat Total. Now, besides 100% of 9 vitamins and iron, Total is the only major cereal that's an excellent source of calcium. So if you're looking for calcium, look for Total, the only major cereal that's a major source of calcium.
Cold, take yourself far away to a Tampa sun, a Gulf beach, and beyond Busch Gardens. As far away as you can feel, Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida.
Gee, I love those old fire rigs. Loved firehouse cooking, too. Did quite a bit of it myself. Still do. Like my Captain Ken's Firehouse chili. I honestly believe that it's the best chili you can buy. All the right delicious ingredients cooked to firehouse perfection. I'm Captain Ken Freiberg, and I'm proud to have my name on the label. Look for my Captain Ken's Firehouse chili in the freezer section of your favorite grocery store. Not fire hot, just firehouse good.
Bill Carlson along with Colleen Needles at the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. The shrine units have just come through, the Osmond Temple, and their color guard preceding the remainder of the groups, and of course they are a sizable part of the parade.
Oh, they certainly are. You could hear them coming a long way back, and I think they're very popular with the crowd here watching.
Yes, they are. They're doing a little marching choreography for us here.
Paying tribute to the grand old flag.
One of the things that puzzles me, and we got part of the answer on that story that we did with the Brady Band, but how these gentlemen can continue to put those metal mouthpieces to their lips continually throughout the parade. You wonder if there isn't some damage done.
I have no idea. That makes me even colder thinking about it. We were laughing during the break, Bill, when I picked up my hot chocolate and found it was an ice cube, hot chocolate ice cube.
We had to break through the top layer to get. And of course, as we always find, there are many, many different units of the shrine.
Here are the sheiks.
And following them, the ever popular clowns. All of these organizations within the shrine take on different projects, and I guess it goes without saying that they are extremely beneficial to the many different organizations which they support. This clown organization called themselves the Merry Medics. They have they have an ambulance there should anybody be suffering from a humorous case of frostbite or
Yes.
something. I get it.
Something.
There they are, the Merry Medics from Rochester. Here is the potentate, the Osmond Temple, G. Robert Jagush.
I think these are the guys
That's
the
not
kids
him
wait
there,
for.
no.
No. But the clowns, those are the ones the children, I think, especially wait for here along the way. Yeah.
You know, and I think there are a lot of children of about maybe 35 or 40 or maybe 50 or 60 along the way who wish that they were there in that clown makeup, hiding behind that happy face
Yes.
and just enjoying themselves.
Oh, and here we have a little taste of Sesame Street here. Now, if that doesn't make you cold, there he is, taking a bath. Ooh.
Pulled by a dune buggy. He's got his rubber ducky, though, so that's
Oh, that's fine. That'll keep him warm.
It's not Big
Either
Bird.
that or Big Bird.
Yeah, that's a medium bird, I guess,
Yes.
kind of. See the backdrop to the parade, as from our vantage point, is the beautiful former federal courts building. From Captain Ken's Firehouse Beans comes this wonderful team of 3 horses. Aren't they pretty?
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Look
Names
at the
are
Dalmatian.
Katie, Laddie, and Lassie are the names.
Look at the Dalmatian with the jacket on.
Oh.
They're turning before our very eyes. I thought they were coming into our broadcast booth.
I thought so too.
That is an authentic boiler, is it not? I think
Yes, it is.
1891.
1891.
Aaron Steam Pumper. That's the way they used to have to do it. It was a tough thing, but they saved many situations with that kind of equipment.
Alrighty, we have just received word that we have a news bulletin coming to us from the WCCO newsroom, and we'll go to that right now.
This is a CBS News special report. From CBS News headquarters in New York, here is Bob Schieffer.
Good day. 4 more Americans have apparently been kidnapped by gunmen in Beirut this afternoon. CBS News Bureau Manager Juan Carlos Camuccio in Beirut says that an official of Beirut University College has confirmed that 4 teachers at the school were dragged away by gunmen today after they were attending a faculty meeting. The gunmen were apparently disguised as police. The 4 Americans are identified, according to university officials, as Robert Poolhill, an accounting professor, Alan Steen, a journalism teacher, John Turner of the math department, and an American of Indian extraction identified only as Dr. Singh. Thus far, there has been no comment from the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, but faculty colleagues say that the 4 have lived in Beirut for about 3 years. No other details at this time. As they become available, we'll have them for you. I'm Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York.
Hey, Bill!
That was a CBS News brief, sobering news about the situation in Lebanon.
Passing right in front of us now, and we, of course, are at the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. We'll keep on top of that news as it develops. Here's a CCO Real Radio 830 hay wagon with all kinds of our friends from the radio side of our family. David Hopp, Roger Erickson there, Mark McNamara, Bill Farmer. Up in front, Steve Cannon and Mike Lynch and all of those folks.
And right behind them, the Miss American preteen candidates. In this horse-drawn carriage, we have 1986 Miss American preteen Tracy Matson of Park Rapids, Minnesota, 1985 winner Amy Lechner of Arden Hills, and 84 Queen Kay Williams from Worthington.
The Vulcan Award goes to the next unit, which is delayed just a little bit. As you know, there are awards made by various portions of the St. Paul Winter Carnival organization.
You can
and
just
the
see
Vulcan
them
Award
coming
went to
now.
this.
They are the Oktoberfest USA float. Their sponsor is the Lacrosse Festivals Incorporated. Now this float carries 4 animated couples in German dress circling around an accordion player performing what else but festive German music.
Look at those red knees.
Yes.
Oh! They must be sprayed with plastic or something. They can't be walking with bare legs this entire route. Here's the Coldwell Banker. Oh, no. We're still looking at the bare knees, aren't we? Those folks. Well, they're hardy folks, aren't they?
There they are, the Coldwell Banker Precision Briefcase Drill Team.
Indeed.
They're no strangers to this parade.
No, they aren't. They're dressed in their appropriate gear. They do certain routines such as about case, rastle dazzle, and things of that nature.
They're in full business attire, naturally. Navy blue suits, camel coats, briefcase, and that mandatory stocking cap if you're a businessman in Minnesota.
I imagine that all comes in very, very handy at Coldwell Banker.
They won first place last year and the year before for the St. Paul Winter Carnival non-musical marching group.
Here is Miss Minnesota.
Christine Fawkes. She's 23 years old with a BS degree in elementary education from the University of Wisconsin River Falls.
And to the car aficionados, there's a long look at Miss Minnesota, and then another long look at that great automobile she was driving. From the Minneapolis Aquatennial, the Queen of the Lakes is with us. Also, Aquatennial President Lee Johnson, Commodore George Murnane, General Festival Chairman Mike Geiser, the Queen of Lakes Sandra Poleski, Princess Ann Minks, and Princess Jody Peterson. There has been a very strong and continuing relationship between the St. Paul Winter Carnival and the Minneapolis Aquatennial, and it gets nothing but stronger as the years go by.
And their float theme is Land of Liberty. And here comes the Prescott High School Marching Band. Director David Zarin, 70 members strong out of total high school enrollment of 310 students. That's not bad.
It's a pretty high percentage of turnout, isn't it?
It sure is. They have won championships at the Winter Carnival for many years, including band competitions in 1970, 77, 82, 83, 84, and 85.
How does a baton twirler work in this kind of weather?
Well, I'm happy to see their attire isn't the usual baton twirler attire today. That would not be safe. Bill, this band travels extensively throughout the United States. They were featured at Walt Disney World in Florida, and they won 2 first-place trophies in Wyoming at competition there.
And as we finish seeing them, we're going to take a quick break and take advantage of a break in the parade. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tempt your tummy with a taste of nuts and honey?
Oh, no breakfast till we get to the beach.
Hey, B, you say nuts and honey?
It's time to tempt your tummy with a taste of nuts and honey. It's a honey oven oat.
You know, this bee has something here.
It's Honey Nut Cheerios.
Foreman & Clark has lost its lease in Ridgedale and must move all the Ridgedale merchandise by the end of January. But our loss is your gain because Foreman & Clark has dramatically reduced the price on every item in the store in order to cut its moving expenses. Nothing is held back. First come, first serve. All sales final, no alterations. Just prices so low you'll be amazed. Suits from $20, sport coats from $7.50, slacks from $5, and outer coats from $15. That's at Foreman & Clark's Ridgedale store.
Gee, I love those old fire rigs. Loved firehouse cooking, too. Did quite a bit of it myself. Still do. Like my Captain Ken's Firehouse chili. I honestly believe that it's the best chili you can buy. All the right delicious ingredients cooked to firehouse perfection. I'm Captain Ken Freiberg, and I'm proud to have my name on the label. Look for my Captain Ken's Firehouse chili in the freezer section of your favorite grocery store. Not fire hot, just Firehouse good.
Here we have members of the Western Saddle Club Association as we return to the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. Some beautiful horses along the way here.
They are carrying the Queen and Princess from the Western Saddle Club Association.
There's a beauty, isn't she? Very pretty. Bill Carlson and Colleen Needles at the St. Paul Winter Carnival. Not there, here. Although that's the way I feel.
I think so too. I feel as bundled up as they do, and well, we should be, and so should everyone who is out here today, because it is very, very cold.
It is most appropriate, I guess, to be dressed the way these folks are, but of course, as Minnesotans, they know what to expect and they know what the results are.
And it's always a challenge to see how many layers of clothes you can put on at one time, isn't it?
The last temperature reading we were made aware of was 1 degree above zero. The wind seems to have picked up a little bit, however. As the temperature moved above zero, the wind picked up a bit, so I would suspect that we may have a wind chill reading now. Here's the Prime Minister Award float, the award given to the 3M Club float. Winter National theme. Of course, that's the theme of the St. Paul Winter Carnival this year, Winter National, and indeed the globe is surrounded by young folks from several parts of the world.
I think those dolls represent Greenland, Denmark, Germany, and the United States.
And aboard the float is Princess Debbie Petron of 3M and her attendants.
And all are dressed in snowsuits, very appropriately.
Isn't that appropriate? Yes. It carries on a tradition, incidentally, with the 3M Clown Club here, too. We saw the St. Paul Dispatch Pioneer Press group go by with their uniforms. In past winter carnivals, as I was a young man growing up in the Twin Cities, I recall any number of St. Paul companies which had marching units, all uniformed. And this is one of the traditional marching units, the Hilux Marching Gnomes.
And their sponsor is the Dial Corporation, and the unit is comprised of 35 members of the Roy Scout Troop Number 13 from St. Columba School in St. Paul.
They have been doing this as long as I can remember the Winter Carnival, and I think that goes back to, well, I guess I don't know how long it goes back.
Oh, come on, you can tell us.
Here's Klondike Kate for 1987, Nancy Bauer.
She's an important part of the Winter Carnival's annual celebration. She was crowned at the annual pageant on January 14th.
That's a fairly recent addition, I think in the 1970s, but boy, has it become a strong tradition in just a few years.
There we have the circus float, built by the circus employees.
Features Bumper the Clown and Waldo the Walrus, if you didn't recognize them through those bars.
You might recognize them also from the Aquatennial Parade and other community parades that they take part in.
Here are many friends of ours right up in front there. Riding shotgun is Bud Kraling and Don Shelby, the whole gang from
Caroline
CCO.
Moe, some familiar faces.
You know, they're so bundled that it's a little difficult to recognize, but they're all our Channel 4 friends. There we go, getting a better shot.
There's Bud leading the way.
From Valley Fair comes this 1910 antique bus. You know, in the last few years, that bus must have put on as many miles in parades as it did on the highway since 1910. Colonel Umpapa is over there greeting the folks along the side of the parade, and Chocolate Moose is also making her presence known. I never was aware that Chocolate Moose was a lady, but...
well, she sure looks like it today.
Yes, indeed. There she is.
Isn't she lovely?
Indeed. Here from the Hopkins Raspberry Festival is their float and their royalty, Queen Heather Edwards, Princess Sherry Berglund, and Colleen Berner. Hopkins Raspberry Festival, a very large festival, one of the bigger ones in the state of Minnesota. And it takes place usually very close to the Minneapolis Aquatennial, and many of the events are almost back to back.
I believe we were looking at the East Metro Chamber Snowfolk Winter National. And right behind them
is Gary Gaetti,
the sports marshal, third baseman for the Minnesota Twins. Yeah, and he looks a little chilly.
Oh my, the former Vulcans heading right toward our booth.
Yes.
That's the Royal Order of Fire and Brimstone, as you may or not. They're looking very threatening today for some reason. I don't know. The Vulcans, of course, are the part of that tradition of the St. Paul Winter Carnival Parade. And every year they seem to be able somehow to bring an end to the Winter Carnival, and spring follows a little bit behind. Now, the Order of Fire and Brimstone, of course, are former Vulcans. This year's Vulcan has not been revealed.
Oh my goodness, look what's coming up.
This one isn't chocolate mousse, but it's a good-sized one.
He sure is. It depicts the largest of winter animals, naturally the moose, 42 feet long or high. I'm not sure. I can't
think
tell
the float
from this.
is 42
yes.
feet long, yeah. But he's a big one.
He
A
sure
little larger than the actual moose, but a moose is a very, very large animal.
Oh, and they're
size of a big horse.
They are incredible. Have you ever seen one out in the wild?
Yeah, they're wonderful creatures.
They are beautiful.
This one comes from the Family Golf Center. Aha, here.
Now these folks know how to stay warm. This is the Queen's Court Studio of Dance.
35 young ladies from 9 to 13 years of age, directed by two former Miss Minnesotas, Charlotte Sims-Oline and Mary Williams-Joseph.
This is their 4th year of participating in the Winter Carnival parades, and they received first place in '85 and second place in '84. And that's the way to do it. Keep moving.
Listen to that bright and exciting sound. Speaking of which, these folks have made lots of bright and exciting sounds heard around the world, and they live right here in our area, the Jets. We talked to them a little earlier.
Hi, we're the Jets. Have a great Winter Carnival, St. Paul!
Oh, they're a great young group, and just as fine and decent a group of young people as you will ever meet anywhere. It's great to see young people like that having the kind of recording success they are, and of course becoming very well known, having records on the charts, as they say, with increasing regularity.
It's really exciting, isn't it, to see a group like that coming out of this area?
It is. From Robbinsdale comes the Whiz Bang Day.
This float depicts a park-like setting, bringing some of the warmth of summer, although I don't feel too much of it right now, but it is a beautiful float.
The Robbinsdale Robin is featured on that float. Oh, we missed it. There's Missed Defeat of Jesse James Day.
And we're told all the gang members are wearing authentic 1876 dress. And there they are.
It's held in Northfield each September, and of course it commemorates the fact that Jesse James met the end of his success as a gang leader when he decided to go after the bank in Northfield.
And there's McGruff, the crime-fighting dog. He's riding the NSP Safety Watch truck. Their sponsor is Northern States Power Company. And he goes around to the public schools and grade schools promoting safety to children.
Certainly an admirable thing to do. Here are a few more of the candidates for Queen of the Snows this year.
Hi, my name is Mindy Rumka. I am sponsored by Heritage Days of St. Paul Park. Hi, I'm Kathy Anderson, and I'm sponsored by Wendy's in Minnesota.
Hello, I'm Debbie Petron, and I'm representing 3M Company.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Larry, and sponsored by Gopher Sign Company.
My name is Carol Pischke, and I'm sponsored by the Woodbury Chamber of Commerce.
And we're back at the St. Paul Winter Carnival Grand Day Parade. And just in time to take a look at the Winter Carnival Junior Royalty for 1987.
It's quite a group of folks, and unfortunately, I don't have the name of the winner. I apologize to you folks. We try to get all of this information to you if we can. King Frost and Queen of the Snowflakes, incidentally, there. And we do want to give everyone credit if we have that information. We just don't happen to have that. Incidentally, Sandra Swenson is our Queen of the Snows this year. And Ted Steichen is our new King Boreas, both of them crowned last night.
And coming up right behind them are the Baron Marching Bears. 75 marching band members, 7 color guard members, and 12 honey bears from the Pom Pom Squad represent Barron, Wisconsin.
Looks as though they're about getting ready to play, and if they do, we're going to let you listen. Notice several of them have hooded sweatshirts, and so they're wearing their hats over that. I'm sure that you'd do just about anything you needed to keep warm in this kind of weather.
What you mentioned earlier comes back to me. Those instruments look awfully cold. I don't think I would want to play them again if I'd been marching around outside with them for more than a couple of minutes.
They're doing a great job, though, and you know, it has been an exciting parade this year, and there have met a great many people along downtown. Now look at this. Here is the St. Louis Park Centennial. Proud of our park, it says. Hoy Guards, and there are all kinds. Honorary Princess Marie Hartman up above, Queen Laura Crookberg, Prince Edward McDevitt, some of the senior citizens from St. Louis Park, along with several others, all enjoying this parade.
Oh, and in the foreground.
Aha! See, you knew it had to happen. There's Vulcan. They sneak in every now and then, and they often go in the opposite direction of the rest of the parade. That's the way it works.
Oh, here he comes, Yogi Bear from Yogi Bear Jelly Stone Park in Shakopee, Minnesota.
Yogi Bear meets Volcanus Rex. Oh, they found somebody. They're going to, are they going to knight him? No, that isn't a him, it's a her. They're going to give her usually a sooty smooch, as they put it. And very frequently the evidence of the presence of the Vulcan crew continues beyond their immediate presence.
Well, right along, I don't know if you can see, there's Yogi Bear. Oops. The Vulcans doing their dastardly deeds. There's the Pillsbury Doughboy and Little Sprout. There he is.
Hardware Hank inflatables are all mixed in one unit now. Vulcan has had success in doing that, at least. They do seem to have a...
There's the Pillsbury Doughboy.
The whistle works, doesn't it?
It sure does.
There the Fire and Brimstone Vulcan crew throwing candy. Well, that was a nice greeting, saying
sure
welcome
was.
back to Colleen. City of Columbia Heights now represented on this float. Miss Columbia Heights Tracy Eckberg aboard, as are her other members of her royal party.
Princesses Darla Civil, Tracy Avery, and Maria Baker, also riding on that float. The theme of their float is Salute to Liberty. The purple is to represent the mountains and the land. The blue represents the lakes and the rivers. And the eagle's wings, which, well, it's out of sight now, but that our nation's freedom.
Here you see the Johnson's Jayettes, Johnson High School in St. Paul, 26-member pom-pom squad.
And they're wearing their school colors of maroon and white.
Johnson Governors, they call themselves, because, of course, the school was named after a governor. And at least one former governor, Wendy Anderson, was a hockey star from Johnson. You know, the St. Paul Athletic Club bouncing team. They're looking for volunteers, Colleen. Not you, though.
Oh.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
1, 2, oh my goodness.
Another tradition. The bouncing queens this year are Kathy Winicky and Tracy Schluckbeyer. They've been doing this since 1887. Not these same folks, but the St. Paul Athletic Club.
Bill, I think they're waiting for you. Oh no, you've escaped one more year. They've got another volunteer.
Oh, watch this one. It's a long way up there when you're that high. I know.
Oh, they had to move a little to catch that one.
I know one year when Pat Brown was doing the parade with me, she actually did that and said from the peak of the leap, she said it looks like a long, long way down.
I bet it is.
Oh, look at those great dogs. Those are Newfoundlands.
Beautiful.
The Newfoundland Dog Club of the Twin Cities.
This breed specializes in water rescue and fisherman aid.
Look at the fur on those animals. They look like they're well prepared for this kind of weather, and they're meeting the folks along the sides too. Very, very friendly dog.
Beautiful dog.
This is Stymie.
Oh, look at him.
Stymie, did he say? Stymie, you're a handsome fella.
He sure is.
Good fella.
Yes, they are. Beautiful dogs, configured a little bit as like a St. Bernard, but of course a distinctly different breed. Minnesota State Fair float here. Yvonne Morkey, who is Princess Kay of the Milky Way, the 33rd, and the Gopher Mascots Fairchild and Fairborn are aboard as well.
The theme for the 87 Minnesota State Fair in this float is Join the Class of 1987. Oh.
There's his own
Who's
dog.
this little fellow? Right behind them is the St. Paul Clown Club. Their sponsor, the Knights of Columbus Council 4021. The Clown Club was founded 41 years ago.